Oh, just like, I love her.
I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 6:32. Yeah, we're all good here. All right. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Were you gonna amend something, Seth? Okay.
We added some links, so we don't have to.
Okay, so we're not amending it, all right. Is there anyone who would like to speak to public comment? If so, you can let me know in the room here if anyone wants to make a public comment, and if you're on Zoom, please, let your hand be raised. All right, seeing no public comment, we'll start with the reports, beginning with the superintendent's report.
So quickly, and you'll see there are cupcakes on the counter. Please, those must be all gone before you're allowed to leave, because there's more in the kitchen. But February is when we recognize the work of the board. And it's been a very busy year. We've had a lot going on, a lot of recommendations, a lot of involvement for the full board. And often when I'm meeting, and lately I've been in Montpelier quite a bit, I share my appreciation for this 18-member board. I know that it is a privilege to serve in a school district that has such high aspirations, holds us accountable, works together to make sure that things are happening for the 2 students that are sitting at our table, as well as all the 1,000 other students in our district. So thank you for being such a active and productive board. There's been so much going on this year and so many things to recognize, but this is our month to recognize, because we will have some different faces at the table come March. January has also been busy for us at the local and state level. So I've had the opportunity to testify twice to House and Senate Education come up, and then House Education alone. And then tomorrow I'll be speaking to the Senate Finance Committee. Those are all in regard to the future of public education, including the maps that have been presented, feedback on what are the steps that we took so that we have such positive student outcomes. And also the work we've done to establish the Vermont Learning Collaborative, hoping that that will be, we can have some opportunities to replicate this work in other regions. And in fact, myself and Joe Graham presented to the Vermont Superintendents Association last Thursday. And as a result of that conversation, we have multiple regions that want to meet this summer and do some of this work. So that is the intention. So locally, we did have our BOCES, what it will become as a name from there, signed off by the Secretary of Education in early January. Beyond the things that we originally did, have been doing over winter break, we applied for a grant for $100,000. We can apply for grants now because we've been signed off by the Secretary of Education, where before we couldn't, we didn't have the right status. So we applied for a grant so we can begin to develop coursework for special education endorsement. Other things that we're looking at is Raf and I spoke today about doing some artificial intelligence work with other districts. We are also looking at other shared positions that we can cost share. So it's a great group of 7 other supervisory unions, school districts that we work with, and how do we find more efficient ways to use our resources and have more equitable experiences. So it's been really exciting. And after speaking to the special ed directors and now superintendents, I think more are coming to understand the opportunities that it brings to bear. So busy month.
Any questions or comments for Sherry?
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I don't think you may understand how deeply Sherry is appreciated in the legislature. Her wisdom and perspective. So I hear from so many legislators how impressed they are. And so we really applaud you, Sherry. You are just such a, you're so lucky to have you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you, Allison. Are there any other directors who would like to make a comment about their report? If so, please raise your hand if you're in the room or on Zoom. All right, student reports.
This year, for America's 250th anniversary, Poetry Out Loud, the National Poetry Recitation Competition, has organized their poetry collection to be a reflection of what they say is the rich tapestry of American history and culture. While that sounds wonderful on paper, it seems that this guise was developed to censor many of the poets who are people of color, immigrants, women, and or queer, and a massive part of American poetic culture and history, as well as the international poets that were such an asset to the breadth of the competition in previous years. The QSA is in the process of organizing a protest following the changes to correct. Part of the issue is that the Poetry Foundation is no longer partnering with the National Endowment of the Arts to make Poetry Out Loud happen, meaning Poetry Out Loud is now choosing to operate using only poems in the public domain rather than go through the process of applying for copyright. Even operating within the public domain, however, there are quite a lot of diverse poems that went unused, and there would be more if the program hadn't been forced to reduce itself to only American-centered art by the federal government. The Poetry Out Loud website is now extensively branded with the Freedom 250. Emily Dickinson is missing entirely from the list. Many poems have newly curated collections this year that seem to be much less critical of establishment than in years past. We've been communicating with faculty, each other, as well as other people at other schools and across state lines. The QSA has spent time talking about how to focus this protest on the right people, with the knowledge that this is the fault of the federal oversight, not the organizers of Poetry Out Loud. The QSA has received so much support from so many people for this protest. With the new competition, Verses and Voices, anyone interested is invited to recite a poem of their choice. Art is ultimately freedom to speak, and we're so grateful for our freedom to celebrate art that reflects real history.
Thank you, Lila. Any questions or comments for Lila? All right, Logan, did you have a report?
Yeah, there was a lot of people that had a lot of things to say for this report, so it took time just to narrow down what they really wanted. So for the most part, Woodstock has been relatively relaxed over the month. Winter sports are in full effect with many of our seasons going well. Both basketball and hockey are looking very good. Girls cross-country skiing is on track to win states, and boys, we're gonna try to defend our title. Academically, the only real stressful part would have been the semester ending, which thankfully our staff works very hard. That most students had their grades in order long before the semester came up, so there wasn't really any big rush to make sure your grades were all set. And then some concerns that the student body could have expressed was the attendance policy. Currently, the policy treats excused and unexcused absences the same, which it causes anxiety and penalizes students for trying to use the right channels and being unable to be at school. We feel that it's overly strict and has a negative effect on the academic performance. Additionally, the policy allows only four late arrivals as it currently is, which a part of the issue is we live in Vermont and sometimes your car won't start or you get stuck behind the tractor. And it's very hard for a lot of students, especially living farther away, to be able to consistently make it to school every day on time when these unexpected situations happen. So to penalize students for being unable to get to school, especially on such a strict policy, seems rather unfair. As well as the recently new undercouch checks were introduced, which are trying to enforce the policy that we have against no phones in schools, which from what I've seen, the undercouches have been very much working. But the daily checks, they take time away from academics, as well as they create an environment of staff mistrusting the student body, and it's hard for us as students to really connect and learn when we don't feel like the staff and faculty can respect us with checks such as these. And then just some closing thoughts. The student body, we're doing great. We're academically very strong, and we're really enjoying Woodstock. It's good to see the senior class are very excited to continue on, and it's great to just see all the classes doing very well.
Thank you, Logan.
Sorry.
Stereophonic.
One carry is enough carry.
Yes.
It's my last meeting. I had to make an entry. Absolutely.
Does anyone have a comment or question for Logan? Thank you, Logan. If you could put that in writing, it would be great, because we could add it to the board book.
Of course.
After the fact, so that would be fine. Thank you. At this time, Melissa is going to make a presentation to us.
Oh,
You're
Melissa,
on mute.
you,
Hello, can you hear me?
yes.
All right. I'm excited to share with you about 2 upcoming field trips. The first one is a 3-day and 2-night trip in May for the 5th and 6th grade students at Barnard Academy. We'll be traveling by coach bus for a rich cultural experience in New York City. Some of the highlights are going to be visits to the Statue of Liberty and Ellis Island, the American Museum of Natural History, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art. We're also going to be able to see a Broadway show. We'll be staying in accommodations that allow for 2 large dorm-style rooms. And we're really excited about connecting this field trip experience with the learning in the classroom around human rights. I wanted to share that we are going to be working with Nick Kleiner of SPN Tours, who has the experience leading trips for school groups, and he'll be working with us for a second time. And this is all thanks to funding from the Barnard Education Fund. There's a second field trip that's also coming up this second part of the school year. This is going to be in June, and it's a combination of Reading Elementary and Barnard Academy students in grades 1 through 4. And all of our students from both schools in 1st through 4th grade are going to the Boston Museum of Science for the day, and they're also going to be going to an IMAX show. And this is thanks to funding from the Barnard Education Fund and 2 different grants that Reading has gotten, the Wheels to Learning grant and the STEM grant. And we just like to share out when we're doing sort of some above and beyond field trips that our students have the opportunity to participate in, especially when it's an overnight field trip. So.
Thank you. It sounds like a lot of fun and great learning for the students. All right, at this time, I'm going to ask our legislators if they would like to give us a report, speak to anything, and tell us how we can support you as well.
Sure, you want to comment there?
Sure.
No. That's all. Thank you. Nice to see you all. My name is Charlie Kimball. I represent Woodstock, Reading, and Plymouth in the state legislature.
Allison Parks, represent the Windsor district, which is not really Windsor County, but most all of Windsor County except Rochester, Thetford, and Pittsfield. And I serve you in the Senate. I serve you as the chair of Senate Economic Development, Housing, and General Affairs, and on Senate Government Operations.
So we have a number of updates that are related to education. So last week, H750, a bill that I'm a co-sponsor on, was introduced into the House and taken off the wall by the House Education Committee. And this is to decouple school construction spending from the per pupil spending when calculating the excess spending threshold. So that is one part of it. The second is to make school projects eligible for state aid for school construction as long as the Secretary of Education deems it commensurate. So it basically gives schools a little bit of a buy if you start construction before the program is stood up. So right now, the program is not yet created. It is under development. And the state agency, well, the Agency of Education is responsible for standing up at the Department for School Construction. They've proposed to have 4 staff members in that. And right now they have one limited service position whose term is actually ending soon, so they have to stand up pretty quickly. So that's part of the stuff that's there. There is no funding source yet identified. The governor has hinted at using the estate tax as a way to fund school construction, but it is lumpy in terms of any kind of revenue consistency, and not a really strong thing to count on. So the Adam Gresham, who's director of finance, said, well, at least it's something. So we'll see. So that's not yet solidified. So that's H 750. Let's see,
Wait, can I just do an
Yeah, yeah.
update on your, on the bill? Our decoupling bill also, we had mirror bills that were all introduced in the Senate. I have yet to be asked into Senate Education, but will hopefully be prepped and ready to do it. You had a very good presentation. You've had your presentation already.
I
Yes,
think
you did.
yes, it went well, but I think the Senate or the House Education Committee will refer to the House Committee on Ways and Means, in which I sit as the ranking member. So I'm hopeful that we'll see that, and every indication that the bill will be taken up seriously. So
And
that's
just,
not always the case with bills.
right, and just a reminder that all money bills that relate to money and budgeting start in House and then come to the Senate. So the action on a lot of education at the moment in terms of the money pieces, some of the policy pieces, the House is taking first stabs at. So Charlie is also serving on Ways and Means, which is key to many pieces of these conversations.
The earliest it's going to really come out is right before crossover deadline. And that is the week after town meeting. I mean, just to be realistic about what the timing is there, and then it goes to the Senate. Hopefully it'll have an expedited review over there, so we'll see. Another thing is on pre-K funding. We've been taking a lot of testimony on what to do with pre-K funding. And the current formula for weighting and for tax capacity, pre-K students are at a weight of 0.54. A lot of studies have shown that they should be weighted at a full person. But there is no consistent number of hours offered across all the school systems in the state. So it's very hard for the state to figure out how much is being spent on pre-K. Remember, it's 10 hours per week for 5 weeks. And some schools offer 20 hours. And so it's really all over the map. So the state agency doesn't have any real clear grasp on it, even though the Uniform Chart of Accounts is being used consistently across school districts. So the best estimates are anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000. So again, this is something we're looking at as to how to fund pre-K in the future. How does it intersect with child care financial assistance program? How does it intersect also with special education, with Head Start, and where all those monies are coming from? One of the big issues is those private providers that are receiving a tuition payment from the school districts equal to just that 10 hours. And what do their finances look like? So, so it's a big question of where does CCFAP and universal pre-K intersect and who pays for what? So that's coming through, not to.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
What's CCFAP?
That's the Child Care Financial Assistance Program. So it provides families with assistance to pay for their child care based on the size of the family, based on their income. So it's a calculation of how much they're responsible for. And the rest is funded by an 11%, not 11%, no,
0.44.
Thank you, 0.44 payroll tax that is paid. And that's only been in existence for a little over a year. And so there's not a whole lot of track record on the collections of that, but that is paid by employers for all employees. Yeah, so it was difficult last year because it wasn't fully implemented yet for those who are self-employed are still responsible for paying it. So, and they weren't aware of it, so there's a whole compliance issue thing. So anyway.
Yeah, it's a sort of, I understand that, but it's a game changer in terms of financing our early childhood education, and it's really exciting, and we cover families up to 185%.
More than that, yeah, that's
of the federal poverty level, which is also a game changer. And it is so far early indications are it's having all the desired effects, except perhaps in the Northeast Kingdom, but everywhere else in Vermont. we are growing the number of childcare slots. We're working in the Senate on, creating an early childcare license for early childcare educators. And, but we seem to be creating more slots, being able to pay teachers better, that means retaining teachers for longer with early childhood, in early childcare. And, those are the key pieces. And then we hope the final piece of professionalism will be having this license that they will be able to get.
So just broad topic, State Board of Education has proposed language for defining what a small school by necessity is and what sparse is by necessity. Actually, the definition is pretty good in my opinion. So it's something the legislature has to put into a bill. So that what they came up with is guidelines for how do you define what a school is small by necessity, meaning it's geographically isolated, or it's not possible to have those students go to another school without serious financial considerations for construction, or transportation is too dangerous. All those things are in consideration. So they came up with a good definition, and I'll have to see how everybody feels about it.
Yeah, and I don't know where it's starting.
What is that good definition?
I can send it to you. I don't have it with me. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Let's
You've
see.
got a good memory, but not that.
No.
Just curious.
It's
Yeah.
there.
If any, like, you know, like Reading, for instance, or any other school, like would,
But that's hardly
Qualified,
geographically isolated.
yeah.
I mean, you're talking about in Canaan,
Yeah.
Island Pond could
Yeah.
make a better argument. But it's also on the website. It's on the school board's website.
Oh, okay, great.
But
I can
isn't
find
it the definition? They can find it.
The State Board of
The
Education.
State Board of
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah, but I'll pull it down. I'll send it.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
Yeah. The yield bill is the bill that will set what the tax rates are on property taxes. That will also, and won't be passed until that crossover week, but the reason why it's important is figuring out what the property tax rates are. The things that go into it is first determining what all the school budgets are throughout the state, either in preliminary or as there's going to the voters. The second is to figure out what the revenues are doing that go into the education fund, and these are not the property tax revenues, but everything else. That's the sales and use tax, purchase and use tax, lottery revenues, everything that's coming into the education fund, which is about 37% of the education fund. And then is the governor proposing the use of general funds to actually then reduce the amount to be raised by property taxes, and he is. He's proposing to use $114 million in funds from other sources to reduce the amount to be raised by property taxes. That's significant. It's again the use of one-time funds, not a great accounting practice, but it is to lower the burden of property taxes.
And I will add, that money we had put aside, a lot of that money, 77 million of that, we had put aside 100 million for federal cuts that a third of our state budget, our $9 billion budget, a third of it is federal money. And we had put aside a mere 100 million just in case we had just totally unsupportable cuts that we had to step in on. You saw us step in with SNAP. We were able to help finance that for 2 months. And
Smart.
yeah, it was.
Great.
However, the governor is proposing, and so of that, SNAP used about 30 million, we had 77 left, and he's proposing to take all of that reserve that we're saving in case we have more cuts from the feds, and we're expecting a lot of them. He wants to use all of that to draw down our property tax. So it may seem like a good idea, but it also is going to starve us in other places, just like the rest of what he's proposing in that match to draw down our property taxes. So, I mean, you have to always know what's going on fully as we look at that, because it looks at first blush like a great idea. And yet we may also need that in other areas.
Right?
That, I mean, next year, that the taxes would go up once this fund is sent out and spent, this one-time fund, or is this helping keep the taxes lower for foreseeable future?
That's a great.
In this particular.
That's a great question, Ryan.
question.
It's unless the legislature steps back up or the governor finds the equivalent amount of money, that means the money has to be raised somehow, and that would be by property taxes
Yearly.
in the current formula. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, in the current construct.
And we'll see where school budgets come in. I mean, so as you know, it's a little backwards.
They get the funds there, and then they try to match. Yes.
Exactly. You guys send us the bill and we try and figure out how to pay it.
And then for, just to add on that, then the committees have to decide whether or not to share that property tax increase equally across both homestead and non-homestead, or at different proportions.
And can I
Thank
just,
you.
can I interrupt for a second? I invited Valerie Taylor as well to come, and she's
Oh.
now on.
Oh, right.
The screen, so feel free to unmute Valerie and introduce yourself.
She's the new Jim.
And if you have some comments to make or whatever, join in with the other two.
You have to unmute though.
She's out.
Valerie, you're on mute right now.
She can't undo it.
There I go.
Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I'm just learning this new computer. Hi, everyone. Val Taylor, Rutland 11. As you just heard, I did take, I was appointed into Jim Harrison's position. Big shoes to fill, I hear. Yeah, I am going to let them continue with the numbers. That's not my area. I mean, it is, but they're doing a great job. I am on the healthcare committee, learning. That's also an area of concern, as everyone knows. And we're trying to unravel that and dig deep and see what we can do in that area. That's in the works.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie.
Oh, I'm so glad you landed on that committee. It's one of our biggest cost drivers to almost all the inflation in all our budgets.
I'm learning that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last year was 16.4%. What is it this year?
7.5?
Yeah,
7. Oh, Jim,
yeah, so 7.5%.
Not sure.
better than double digit, but still higher than any of our salaries are increasing.
Oh, absolutely.
Senator, you mentioned SNAP. Let me ask you a question. And the reserve fund that you set up in case there's federal fallout.
Yeah.
Are we dealing with this payment error issue that when the feds are gonna start penalizing SNAP programs for client side payment errors?
I have no idea, but
Yeah, there's two different sides of
I
this.
just didn't know if anything's going with that.
We don't have a penalty at this point. It says that if you have an error rate of more than 6%, then you're gonna have to pay additional
oh,
amounts.
right.
And Vermont is under that historically, so we should be okay, but we are also going to absorb, I think, $8.5 million in processing costs.
Which
Processing
is not direct benefit. to
Yeah,
our SNAP
that's just,
recipients.
it's the cost of doing business.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So we seem okay for now.
yeah, we're okay for, no, thank you for clarifying.
Question, when you say we'd be cutting into reserves to lower property taxes, does that mean lower property taxes for locals, or does that mean lower property taxes for everyone? Including like second homeowners and out-of-staters?
Good question. And to tag on to that question, because everyone wants to know what we're doing about second homeowners this year, and Charlie can, because he serves on Ways and Means, can answer that. There's a high interest in the legislature to address second home. And we've asked the tax department that it's gonna take 2 years to roll it out. So even if we act on it this year, which I'm hoping we will, it's gonna take 2 years to get us up to speed so that we're actually able to do it. Lowering property taxes for everyone, but we make the final decision about the Ways and Means, and the finance committees make the final decision about what those tax rates are. But it would be lowering property taxes for everyone. And remember, at the moment in non-residential is also includes all our businesses, all our commercial properties. And so
Right.
it's not just seasonal home.
it's a fair question. And last year we ran through a number of models to calculate if we only gave homestead property owners all of the savings, what would that look like? If we split it 50-50, so that everyone had the same increase, what would that look like? And that's eventually what happened, is that it was holding everyone harmless, or having everybody's property tax go up the same percentage. On average, I'll say.
Is there a significant difference in average family income of local or state residents compared to second homeowners?
Well, we don't have any statistics on second homeowners because they
We don't
don't pay
know
income tax.
What their income is. Because they don't pay income tax here.
Yeah,
Sure.
so, and then the place we are now in trying to Act 73. I know you might not like parts of it. One part is to set up these different tax classifications for homestead, residential, non-homestead residential, and non-homestead, non-residential, all three. And then to figure out what those rates are. So we're in the process now of going through the details of that, because you have to define what a dwelling is. It's not that obvious. So a 4-unit apartment building is 4 dwellings, and the dwelling has to be habitable year round. So it's going through some of those things and then trying to figure out how the towns are gonna work together with the state to then identify all the dwellings and then how to deal with it. So,
Which is why it's gonna take us a while to actually be able to roll out a seasonal.
Because it's just now becoming apparent that it's an issue.
oh, no, not now, but it's, there's been great reluctance to do more than just 2 property tax classifications.
It's more work for the tax departments, our listers, our appraisers, for everybody. It's work all the way down the line, and so they want to be compensated for that. I mean, it's a big piece of work, actually, to go through the grand list and identify.
I appreciate this
Yeah,
explanation.
yeah, no, it's interesting, but I would say there's tension, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but there is tension in the legislature between those of us who I think would like to move along and pass this year so that we can actually have that tax in place in 2 years, Ryan. And versus people who say, oh, we need to wait another year. But, so that will probably first come out of Charlie's committee, which is where the tax and fee bills.
We're thick in
originate.
it right now.
What?
We're thick in it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, you're working on it. Right?
The other, I'm sorry.
So Charlie, at best, if it was to be signed off in March and there was an idea on school funding, at best, when would that be? 27?
And a different tax rate for second homeowners?
No, I'm saying, funding for like education bill.
Oh, for school construction.
Oh.
Is that at best 27?
Yeah, fiscal year 27. So we have to think about fiscal years.
It's fiscal year.
July.
Working on that. The budget we're building is fiscal year.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
right now it's not called for until I think 2028. So I don't have the specifics on the numbers, but it says the fund will be active as of 2026, July 1st, 2026. Where's the money is the next question. When is that available? So that I don't have a good answer for you.
So the governor has some ideas. The treasurer also has some ideas, I believe, on this. And so there'll be, everyone is, I would say, everyone is interested in solving this problem.
Yeah.
Given that we have over $6 billion of pent up demand, renovation and new building, it is a problem we need to solve. And as schools like ours could fail at any moment, it is, everyone is very clear on this need.
And the 6 billion was from 2 years ago.
And the $6 billion is
So
from
probably
2 years
7
ago. Thank you,
billion now.
Carrie. That's right.
And
That's right.
can I just clarify the question Josh asked? So I think you're raising a question, hey, we have this rebuild bond that's contingent on getting aid from the state potentially as one of the sources. But as one of the potential sources.
Mhm.
And what we understand is the agency has said that the program will be live in this year. When that's funded is unclear because we have yet to appropriate. And that could be settled in this session, it could be settled in subsequent sessions. A funding source has to be identified and legislation has to be passed. However, if, the program theoretically could be funded this session, correct? And it could, and the agency, even though they might not be holding the money until 27 or 28, could start to make grant appropriations anticipating those revenues. Is that a correct statement?
I would say yes and no. The program alive July 1st, 2026, absolutely. But the agency is also charged not only with setting up this construction division, but also then writing rules as to how to administer that, and that sometimes takes a year.
Sure, the rulemaking.
Rulemaking process.
Rulemaking is the longest bit of that process. And then,
So the other part is that generally.
So they may start accepting applications as early as some point.
That's
this
my
year.
hope, yes, and that's the whole point of the
Of
bill
doing it.
of 750, right?
Yeah, and that's the whole point of your bill.
Right.
To help ensure the safeguard.
Right, is that even though the money's not there, we're first in line type of thing, so. The second piece is that we just had the governor's budget presentation. He did not include any money in there for
School
the
construction.
school construction fund. And so that's where it's gotta come from. Now, the legislators may then find another pot of money, but they generally do it in reaction to what the governor's proposing. So there's
That's
no
been
money
the
there.
typical structure.
Pretty
Yeah.
consistently, yeah.
Right, and
The bond.
before, it was always financed out of the capital bill, which is bonded dollars. So, you know, and borrowed money, so it's, I think there is also a tension between a revenue source and debt. In terms of, you know, it just doesn't,
Right.
it'll be, end up being a combination.
And you mentioned Treasurer Pichak has some ideas,
Treasurer Pichak has ideas about everything.
but anything worth mentioning?
Not yet, but
He was
he's thinking
He was
about
on the school construction committee.
He was the chair of the the advisory board on school construction. I may not have the title right, but, and they basically, without new districts in place, they said, we can't really come up with some firm recommendations, but what we can do is give you some options as to what to do with legacy debt of all the school districts. Interesting in that report is they said the amount of school debt that schools have throughout the state is fairly low compared to other states. And that makes sense because so many people have not actually
Right,
invested in
Bill.
their physical plant.
because we have now over $6 billion of unspent money.
Right.
I mean, the need is there, but there's no debt.
There's no debt.
Yeah, exactly.
So you would think
The
there'd be,
piece of the minus notes.
there would be
the debt.
room, but then it comes back to who pays for it. And it's like, it's not through property taxes, shouldn't be, and people are already hurting. The other part of this, of the yield bill, just to really touch on it, is figuring out the property tax credit. Which gives assistance, for people to pay their tax bill. 70% of, full-time residents qualify for this tax credit. It's very important to figure out how much money is being spent in there. Last year was about $146 million, and this year I think it's projected to be 130.
You're referring to the homestead exemption.
Yeah,
And this,
no,
that's
this is
actually the
income
current,
sensitivity, what we call income
it's the
sensitivity.
current property tax credit. It's not the newly proposed homestead exemption.
I see.
70% of Vermonters pay their education property tax through income sensitivity.
Income now.
70%.
Yep. So it's always got to think something's wrong with the system if 70% are an exception, but
Something's gonna be wrong with the system if the FPL at 180% for one person is $15,000 a year.
so you're talking 50 FPL.
The federal poverty level. I was just like that, I was looking that up, I'm like, that's bananas.
Vermonters.
That's for a single person.
I know, that's for one person.
Yeah.
At 180%.
No, I think it's not that. I think it's 575%, but
It's, yeah, oh, yeah,
It's-
sorry, for
it's 15.
early childhood education is.
It's 27, 180.
Sorry, that was my bad.
anyway, the last thing, you have a full agenda. The last thing from my perspective is a bill in the Senate, is from Senator Phil Baruth to put a cap on education spending in FY 28 and FY 29. And I don't think it has been taken up by the committee, but if the governor supports it and the president pro tem is presenting it, good chance it'll be taken up.
Oh, it will be taken up. Did you testify on that?
Not on the cat. I testified on the maps.
Right, I was afraid of that. I wish we could get you to, well, I will mention to Chair Ann Cummings, you would be. There is a bill coming out. That I'm a little concerned about, that we need to chat with you about, that's coming out onto the floor. I think it's S-200 or 220. Anyway, but the caps, I believe, are going to be an ongoing conversation, and it's unclear if we're able to start that in the Senate.
I don't know, but that's where
Given
the
it's-
idea is coming out of.
Yeah, oh, well, that's definitely where the idea is. It's one that many of us are not very keen on. But Phil is determined, and at least it will be taken up, and the chair seems
The chair, which kind of.
Senate Finance
Finance.
seems open to it.
So what the bill does, it limits an increase to 3%. That's the
3,
minimum
yeah.
increase, but it also has a very complex formula. I don't know, Jim, have you played with the formula?
No, I totally agree.
Uh,
Yeah,
why?
until it passes and you really have to deal with it.
You know, and I've been playing with it a lot to figure out, well, what would it be in order to come out mathematically with a 3% increase? And if you were the average spending district, which is 13,168, an average long-term weighted ADM, then you'd have to there'd have to be a higher spending district of 17,557 for long-term weighted ADM, and that's a lot. So then you take the delta and you divide by your own the spending from the previous year to come up with some percentage.
It's,
So just say
That's why-
3%.
it's nutty.
Right.
Eh,
So just say
But this
3%.
is, you're now hearing why we're so lucky to have Charlie Kimball on Ways and Means.
Anyway, so it's. Yeah, anyway, don't know. So that's all the news from Montpelier.
I had a question for you.
It's all the news. We haven't even gotten to housing or workforce development or all the things I've worked on, economic development. There's lots going on, and I think everybody should know there's lots going on. Just look at the agendas on any one of the
Yeah.
committees that are, you know, the 25 committees in the State House. Everybody's working their little brains off.
I just have one question, because I saw an interesting bill that was going to be introduced regarding having student board members have a vote at the table. Has that been discussed at all?
It has not been brought, I think, before. I think it's either government operations or the Committee on Education. So I know there's been a lot of talk about it, but I don't know.
Okay,
I don't think it's a Senate bill. I think it's a House bill.
It is a House bill. Yeah.
okay. I don't know if you knew that, but there's somebody has introduced a bill so that students have equal rights for voting at the table as the rest of the board members.
It's also,
So how do you feel about it as a board?
or as a student.
I mean, we're not democratically elected, so I guess that would be my only problem with that.
Good response.
Look at that, Alan.
We have smart
Actually,
kids.
that was a really good response.
What were you gonna say?
Not that.
Doesn't mean Logan wouldn't like a bus.
I don't think their bus will.
Sounds like
I had a meeting with the Vermont Youth Council, which is a great organization, and I presented to them 3 different bills and got their feedback all over Zoom. And their insights were incredibly good.
They're great. We're meeting with them. They report every year to Senate and House government operations, and it's always interesting. They're coming up. I think they're testifying next week or the week after.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah, they always have great ideas,
Yeah.
which is wonderful.
You,
Sad.
you mentioned the small school definition, but is there anything else happening on redistricting?
Oh, yes.
I know, yeah, what, did I miss it, or is it?
No, it's
No, so
robust discussion.
really, what's happened is a lot of testimony, and your superintendent has been at the table for those discussions as well, talking about the benefits of operating BOCES versus looking at the redistricting as required by Act 73. Up until this point, there hasn't been any robust discussion about map making, except now it seems to be moving forward with people coming up with different versions of different maps to consider, so that then the legislature can debate that. So that's really where it is. There's no clear path on that. I think there's a general curiosity in the legislature, correct me if I'm wrong, to see BOCES, what the impact would be, the financial impact, the benefits, all of that, to really fully flesh that out. And also to discuss what is any really potential cost savings in the larger districts that have been proposed. So those are really, I think, robust, very active conversations without any kind of decisions yet.
And they have big impact on other things we're talking about. So I oversee a bunch of the workforce development work in the Senate. And as we look at reshaping governance and financing of career and technical education,
How do you shape the?
how do we do this? And if we're going to move to a BOCES model and really come up with strong incentives to encourage regionalization, a lot of the career and technical education ideals are based on a regionalized, comprehensive school system and building that has everything in one place, which is what we have in a few of our high schools, but not enough. And if so, in what will the incentives be? How can we make that? But the challenge for Career and Technical Education Center is a lot of these thoughts are based on this ideal of when we're there, and we really have to figure out a bridge to getting there. And that bridge that's gonna be a tough one to navigate. Because we all know where we wanna be, but how we get there with career and technical education integration and is gonna be, there's another big challenge that we face at the moment.
Corinne?
Is there anybody looking at the possibility or the ways to move towards a foundation formula in the absence of district consolidation?
Yes,
Yes, there is.
yeah, that's definitely one of the possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good questions. So you mentioned the maps, are they starting from scratch or are they trying to revive some of the maps that,
I think there's discussion, well, I mean, I don't serve on education and so my understanding from all of my colleagues is that there is a whole range of thoughts and some of it is actually anyway, and Sherry could probably fill you in because she's been in that meeting discussing it. But I would say a whole, yes, a little bit of going back, a little bit of reinventing the wheel, which is too bad because we had a very thoughtful task force that did terrific work. And it's really very frustrating that we're not beginning at that point and going forward.
Thank you.
But the Secretary of Education did present a spreadsheet with proposed maps. One was a hybrid of what had been proposed on regional high schools with what was an overlay of existing, I think, superintendent districts, I'm not sure. And so it's 3 different columns looking at different where people would go and that kind of stuff. So there was that proposed. So that does exist. But I think there are legislators that are actively engaged with mapping tools at this point to figure out what that looks like.
And Sherry, do you have any, from your presence in that committee meeting, any further clarity? I mean, I think we're all over the map, as it were.
Right, and I think everyone's looking for an easy answer.
Yes.
No one wants to put a map forward because it means that something can get thrown out. So the School Superintendent's Association doesn't want to do it because you're our boss. I think for legislators, it's high stakes for them. Lots of feedback since June about how individual communities feel about their school boards and their structure and how it's represented. I think there are some different conversations, like trying to find the right move that is thoughtful, research-based, truly makes a difference for students so they have great quality experiences and is cost efficient. So that was always my question. And my question is in every committee, who are we serving by these decisions? Exactly. Are we serving students? Are we serving adults? And that's been my question again and again to every committee. I hope we're serving students. Often I feel that maps are serving adults. And, I can say that as someone who's where I am at this point in time. I want to make sure maps serve students.
Right.
I don't understand crap about taxes, in case you couldn't tell yet. If the state can put like a 3% cap for increases on certain spending, could they just put a cap on what a school budget can spend as a 3% increase each year on rise in healthcare to let the healthcare company system know how much we can't just keep paying the outrageous prices and their hikes every year because the state mandate doesn't allow us to go over a 3% increase. Forces them to keep our business to stay within our budget.
That is an interesting idea that you should present to the Green Mountain Care Board. I think that's a great,
really helpful.
I mean, we do have other requirements in place for our insurance system. And
Yeah, because I mean, the state can't limit them on what they increase, but they can limit how much we can pay them through increases on our end.
True, you're right. I mean,
The other thing that they do is.
there are those.
Don't piggyback my idea.
They could play companies against each other.
Uncontrollables, expenses, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for inviting us. It's still early days, I would say. In all fairness, we will have more and maybe coming back during town meeting break or I don't know when your next meeting is. You're always second
So
day.
first, well, normally it's the first Monday.
Right, this is the
But
first
on March, it'll be the second. Because
Town
we,
meeting.
town meeting, we have to know what the results of the election are, whether we have a budget passed and all of those things.
I guess.
So that's next.
And
Okay.
those budgets create the bill. that we'll
I'll
be
try
getting.
to remind you all again. We do appreciate it, and if you can get Mr. Hoyt to come, Hoyt, right?
Yeah, Hoyt,
Yeah.
It
Michael
would be
Hoyt.
nice. I don't think anyone's met him and he's representing two towns, so it would be nice to have, I was very thankful that Valerie could come.
Yeah,
As you can see, Valerie, we have a 19-person board. So we
Fantastic.
have seven towns, and we have good old Ray Rice from Pittsfield, who doesn't get a vote, but he comes and shows up every time.
And 2 students,
And we have 2 students as
it's a
well,
full table.
so.
Which is great.
it was-
We will mention
Well,
to
thank
Michael.
you for the
and,
invite.
On his,
I sent
who
him,
knows?
I did email him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but is,
All of you.
yeah, we will chat. With
No,
Michael, because
it's
he's terrific, and I can't remember if he's gone off the Hartford Select Board. They may also be meeting at the same time. Who knows?
Vice chair, yeah.
He's vice chair. They may be meeting at the same
Double
time.
dipping there, wow.
Can
That's pretty
We
good.
have a lot of select board members who are legislators.
we just say, thank you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
For,
Thank you.
I mean, the breadth of the issues and the depth that you guys were able to go into is pretty incredible, and especially the fact that you get paid very little. And this is like a labor of love, number one. Number two, thank you for moving the decoupling bill.
Yeah.
Because no matter what happens on school construction, we can't fix the school until that happens affordably, and we're really being held hostage right now, so.
Mhm.
If you're able to unlock that, that'll be a huge step forward.
It will be great. We haven't caught up on how your reception was, but I'm looking
Well,
forward to hearing.
The chair of House Education said, well, Woodstock is the poster child as to why we should be doing this.
Which is great. It's great that Peter said that.
I did have,
Great.
Peter,
I know, Peter Conlon, yeah.
Peter,
I did have the message. There
Make
was
sure both.
the septic backing up in the locker rooms during the basketball game and stuff like that.
that's
True. We don't make this stuff up.
And
Uh,
if you ever need us to do anything, we're really good at letter writing, as you know, and we'll also show
You
up.
are, and also you have this incredibly articulate advocate.
Yeah.
But really, everyone who gets to hear Sherry testify in committee is just so complimentary, and they shared it with us, which is great.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of time to write those things.
So,
Thank you.
anyway,
very
thank you all for your
Thank you.
hard. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I'm seeing you in what, February 16th, 15th.
Oh, how exciting. A
In
Plymouth event.
Yeah.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you all. And if anybody has any questions that I cannot answer now, I'm sorry. I am just getting my feet wet, and I apologize for that. But you can reach out to me, and if I can send you any answers, I would love to do that.
Thank you, Valerie.
All right.
Thank you, Valerie.
All right. Well, stay warm.
You too.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks.
thanks. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, it is now our time and pleasure to recognize with sadness the 2 board members who are stepping down, Lydia Locke from Comfort and Sam D. Nahatali from Woodstock. I'd like to say about both of these women, Lydia has been my kind of go-to to run things by her, and she often clues me in on things that she thinks I might find useful to know in case something comes up. And I may still call on you, Lydia, from time to time, because your wisdom and your steady head and your quiet but strong presence has really been a pleasure to get to know you. And Sam, I met in the halls of Woodstock Union High School. Might have had to have a few chats. She's not the only one here, however, at this table that might have had a couple of chats as well, not looking at anyone's direction. But Sam is a force to be reckoned with. And I know that you've been on for quite a long time and worked really hard and worked through all the things that were going on, as well as Lydia came on too as part of that of Act 46 in the consolidation. effort that really was tough and yet ultimately resulted, I think, in a very positive result here for our district. And I thank you personally for all the time you've given and the volunteerism you've shown, the community spirit and all of those things that I know I see, not just at a board meeting, but in the community. So thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Thank you.
And I invite anyone else to say something. I think Adam would like to say something.
Hi, everybody. Sam, I won't embarrass you, but I do have to say, as a former board member myself and one who joined the board at the same time as Sam, when we consolidated, and we went through many ups and what felt like a lot more downs, having Sam at your side and on your board is like, it's been a godsend to this district. And it's really neat to be able to come back and observe from afar all the work that you're all doing, and that the board's in good hands. And I felt good when I left, and Sam will feel good when she leaves. And congratulations, Sam, and you too as well, Lydia.
Thank you, Adam.
I just want to,
Yes, Ellie.
Sam, I want to thank you for working with you
Oh
for
my
the
gosh,
last
this is
4
much more
years
than I
on the
need.
policy committee.
You're welcome.
Common sense approach and kept us focused, and also your perspective from the years before. So thank you very much. It's been great.
Yeah, learned a lot. Definitely came on the board not knowing what I was signing up for by any means, but it's been a great, really, really intense learning curve, but it's been a great experience, and I mean, I did it for 9 years for a reason. I really felt like it was one of the most important roles you can do to give back to the community. So, happy to have done it, and I'm excited to see what you guys do without me. So thank you.
Anybody else?
I just I think what Lydia and both of you have done is brought such a strong sense of community without overrepresenting your individual towns. Like, I feel both of you have done such a nice job, Sam and Lydia, to really bring your voice to the table as a graduate of Woodstock, as a very active community member, really grounded and thinking deeply about what every decision we made. And I knew when both of you were speaking from a voice of concern and compassion for students, not by where they lived, but by your commitment to public education, which is really in a very precarious position, and only because of individuals like the two of you that we can keep moving forward and thriving. So work incredibly impressive. Yes, how many times I asked you to move off the water bubbler, I don't even want to talk about. Yeah. Are you supposed to be, Sam?
You just turned 40, okay? Like, are we still thinking about high school?
But just as a, in terms of.
Also, it was really warm on that bubble.
It was.
And comfortable.
But I think you just personified someone who loved their school and their community and is incredibly successful here in all areas. So thank you. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Carrie, and everybody. And it's hard to believe it's only been 4 years. Have I only been on the board for 4 years? Feels like it's been longer, but it's been really amazing. And I feel really lucky and honored to have, just worked alongside such amazing people. So our district is pretty great and lucky, and we're in good hands. Yeah.
Yes, we do have a gift here.
If Stuart wants to pass, we have cupcakes.
Oh,
Cupcakes, these cupcakes. And some.
Like, take one to pass on. Should I serve? Lydia will get this to you.
Oh, I'll come get it.
Okay. Thank you.
Just a small treat.
Thanks, guys.
I don't have it. There's a, you don't? I don't either. I don't get those.
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, because it got. I was wondering. But always, yes.
All right, as we pass the cupcakes around in your honor, we can go on to presentation from Jim Fenn on the union, release of Union Arena Trust funds.
All right. So the Union Arena facility, the building next door, is a district-owned building. But it's operated by the Union Arena Corporation. And when the building was originally constructed, part of what they did is they established a trust fund to generate income to be used for the maintenance and the upkeep of the building. Union Arena Corporation has been doing that. They have done a number of projects over the last few years. You released a little over $100,000, I believe, 3 years ago for work they were doing. They're now asking for another $76,000. And the 3 projects that they're talking about, at this point, I can get it open.
Do you want to share your screen? Is that, no?
No,
Okay.
I'm just trying to open one of my attachments. There we go. The three projects they're asking for money for are life safety door hardware throughout the building, $27,000, $25,000 for a boiler replacement, and $24,000 to make another payment on their solar panels. And this should be the last payment they'll need from us towards the solar panels. They will either with this payment have paid it in full or have 1 or 2 months small payments left to finish paying off the solar panels. So for them, it's been a long trip, but they've made a lot of progress. This was on the agenda last week for Finance Committee, but unfortunately, because of the weather, we didn't meet. But I did poll the Finance Committee members, and all 3 of them agreed that this is a good thing to do and that we should be supporting this going forward. Just so you know, the original trust fund was created with $450,000 in it. As of December 31st, you had $714,856 in it. So taking $76,000 out of it still keeps it significantly above the original funding. We did meet with the school district trustees of trust funds who managed this trust and the Potwin Trust, and they unanimously supported this transaction also. So if you're of the mind to grant this, then we just need the board to vote to authorize the request of withdrawal of $76,000 from the Union Arena Trust Fund.
I'm just wondering if Ray Rice would like to say anything, because I think he's on that board, isn't he?
He's on the trust, on our trust board, not on the Union Arena board.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Potwin void. But it's good, and I agree with it. And if I can make the motion, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to make a motion.
You can.
I can. I would like to make a motion to authorize the payment as the Union Arena is asking for.
I'll second.
Who was
Thank
the
you.
second? Thank you, Josh. Any further questions or discussion?
Just one question. I have one question, please. I actually understand, I don't really know much about this, but the trust fund, 2 questions. How is the trust fund set up? Where did the money come from? And why would there be any reason we wouldn't do this?
Your last question, there's no reason you wouldn't do this. End of conversation.
Yeah, right.
The trust fund, when that building was built, it was built all with donated funds.
Yeah.
And part of the original founding group that built that building established a trust fund of $450,000 to help offset building and maintenance and capital costs going forward. So that's how the trust fund came into existence. The original documents of them transferring that building to us, the trust fund was transferred to the district. And so you have the final say on it, as like the gatekeepers. I missed your second.
How did the money grow from 450 to 7, whatever it is now?
Well invested.
Just invested.
Yeah.
And additional donations?
we have not had any donations in my 5 years here to them. It's all been through, Schwab where it's invested, and we've had some really good returns the last few years.
Wow.
We were in the $600,000 range 3 years ago when we did the last withdrawal, so it's grown significantly in the last 3 years.
As far as I know, we've never denied a wolf.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine there would be a reason.
Yeah.
Figured I'd ask.
Yeah, but it continues to grow. The building is now over 20 years old, so it's starting to show its age, and so we will be asked in future years to withdraw some additional money, but right now, this is what they need.
I second Ray's motion.
I think,
Josh
already seconded it.
I thirded.
Are we, are we ready to vote? Let's put the names of the plans. All right, all those in favor of, authorizing the 76,000 withdrawal, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? All right, thank you. It has passed. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
All right, Sherry is now going to talk with us about the status of intra-district choice.
So one of the decisions that was made during merging was that we offer opportunities for individuals, families from different towns to apply to attend a different school other than their identified school. Those are in our original articles of agreement. We also have an MVSD process for decision making. Within those articles, there are different identifying factors, including whether there is capacity within the receiving school. And so I met with Principal Mills, Principal Zurheide, and Principal Rank to talk about our current capacity at those three elementary schools, as well as Principal Workman, because primarily inter-district choice is between the elementary schools. What we identified in those conversations were that at Woodstock Elementary School, next year's kindergarten already has 38 students. Now, the class size maximum for kindergarten is 22. So they currently have 2 classes. They really don't have the capacity to add students that are not from the towns of Woodstock, Plymouth, Pomfret, Bridgewater. Thank you. I knew there were 4, so as I was counting on my fingers, deep math. And so, and Bridgewater does have the choice of Woodstock or Killington, depending upon what's part of Bridgewater they're from. So based on that review of current students, and concern that there may be move-ins, there really isn't capacity in the kindergarten class at West, as well as you can see the proposed enrollment at the other upper classes, depending by offering. And you can see, for example, in 3rd grade, there are 3 classes for those 58 students. The same is true also for Prosper Valley School. The incoming 5th grade would have 41 students, 2 classes, and the current 5th now are going to be 6th grade has approximately 56, well, has 56 students that have 3 classes. So those factors in terms of what is the capacity for next year or current enrollment, as well as we had 4 to 5 students on the pre-K wait list at Barnard Academy. And so we had identified in the budget that we had 1 teaching position. We were moving from Killington Elementary. So the decision was to maximize the number of students in each of our buildings to move that teacher to a Barnard Academy, allows them to bring in those 4 or 5 pre-K students, and to not allow any more enrollment at Woodstock from other towns. This has been a challenge for some families who currently have pre-K students that live in Barnard and Reading that have pre-K students at Woodstock Elementary. And so they had hoped to stay at Woodstock Elementary School, but because that would have meant moving that 1 teacher and then having 3 teachers for those students really didn't feel like a fair distribution and would not allow us to bring all those pre-K students in from Barnard. So I wanted you all to understand, have information of how we made those decisions and what we were looking at. We do have size minimums as well as class size maximums, and this is all within our enrollment policy. It's a lot. So those parents have been informed that are currently at the West Pre-K that there isn't capacity for kindergarten West if they are not of the 4 towns that are identified for that school.
So Reading?
So Reading has room, so there's still interdistrict choice. If someone from Woodstock wants to go to Reading, go to Barnard, there's room to go in that direction, go into Killington. So Reading, Killington and Barnard have capacity for interdistrict choice.
People can come there,
Yes,
but can those schools come to West?
there is no room for those students.
What room in?
Right.
For the whole elementary school?
Right, and you can see by the distribution, based on the number of classes,
There are
they're,
kids who are currently at West from those 3 towns.
they're there, they stay. Once you're in, you're in. But any new applications for interdistrict choice to Woodstock Elementary or private, I would deny because of capacity.
Even if their siblings are in West. So if their siblings are in West and they're going into kindergarten, they're still, and they live in Reading or Barnard or, what?
Yep.
Killington, for instance, they'll have to go to their school or their
Older sibling goes.
older sibling could go back to that school too, but they're not gonna do it. I mean, that was part of what was in the articles. It was a pretty shooter because it just doesn't allow for equity amongst schools. If you have, like, Reading, for instance, has a certain amount of teachers and all, like, a ton of kids are going to Woodstock. It's just not equitable.
No, for sure,
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know this is
No,
gonna
it's good questions.
Yeah.
ruffle competitors.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
for
Yep,
sure.
and I've had some conversations and hoping
And
that
do all the parents know this already?
the parents that are impacted that are currently pre-K to K, and then will, as applications come in, we're on the website, it will say, these are the towns that have opportunities for interdistrict choice. And I mean, these are the schools that don't have capacity. We'll add that to the website.
So if the child's already at West in pre-K, they're
Correct.
there.
No, pre-K, anybody can go to pre-K anywhere they want. That's not intradistrict choice. That's how pre-K is set. But if you're in pre-K and hope to go into kindergarten and you're not of those 4 towns, there is no opportunity for that.
But if you're in K,
In K, you are there. Yeah. Yep. Good questions.
Any questions? Any more questions?
I have one question.
Yes, Matt.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I guess I could tell that some of the grades at West and Pomfret looked completely full, but some maybe looked like they had a little bit of capacity. Could it be a decision based on grade level, or does it have to be a decision campus wide? Like, could it only be available, say, for incoming 3rd graders at West, but all the other grades are not allowed because they're at capacity? I'm just wondering if that was considered.
If you look at what our maximum class sizes are as compared to projected enrollment, and also ensuring that we have capacity for more move-in. So if you move into one of those 4 towns, that was the other part of the conversation. We wanted to make sure that we don't want to get right up to 22 students in 1st grade. I mean, part of that is really wanting to make sure that we have room for move-ins and still have comfortable space in there. So there is a maximum, yes, and we want to be cautious. So if you look at 1st grade has 2 classes of 15 each now, they can go up to 22. Is that where we're trying to be very careful. There might be a capacity in 1st grade, but the other class grades are pretty tight, pretty full for Woodstock Elementary.
Do we have historical data about approximately how many people move in?
It's year to year, it really varies, but we like to leave at least 4 to 6. One family can bring 4 children, so even with a K, that's 5 grades, so.
Well, hopefully they're not bringing them all in the same grade.
No, but dispersed across, right?
Yeah.
So we're being cautious and trying to be sensitive to, I think 1st grade class of 22 is pretty large for Vermont. Especially at West, those classrooms are not the size of a typical elementary classroom, if you wedged yourself in there. it. I mean, I feel like when I went to school there, that's what the classless sizes were. And I was in elementary school in that building.
But though you were in the boom years, those were the.
Yeah, but that's, I mean, that was what was
And
in
we've
that
lost,
building.
and so the whole bottom wing, which was some of our biggest classrooms, are now all pre-K.
Oh, that's
Pre-K
true.
takes
Yeah.
much more space.
That's true.
And so the biggest, we've lost some of our biggest class, not lost, pre-K is really important.
Yeah.
But the addition of pre-K
Yeah,
has
yeah.
really changed the dynamic of that building.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And we don't need to take a vote today. Was informational. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to be accepting retirement from Sharon Groblicki, who's the performing arts teacher in Barnett Academy. I think she taught as much in her actual career as she did in her retirement career. It seems like she's been in Barnett forever. And I think Melissa would like to say something about Sharon.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sharon Groblicki has been dedicated to the performing arts at Barnard Academy for over 22 years. She brings her incredible talent and expertise to elevate the music and art programs. She gets our whole school singing. There's nothing that she likes better. She'll come in any day, not her work day. If she thinks there's an opportunity that she can get all of the school singing, she can't resist. She loves her work so much. And she also teaches band instruments. She's so passionate about the work that she does. So she goes above and beyond, and she's done that always of just, it's like an unlimited number of hours extra time that she wants our students to be ready and confident to be going on stage. And she gets every student in our building on stage in costume, singing on mostly key for the songs. And it's just an incredible talent. And if you have gone like myself to many musical performances at elementary schools, what you'll see at Barnard because of Sharon is in an entirely different league. It's like a category of its own that doesn't exist any place I know. So I really know that we're going to feel the loss of her. She's not going to be replaceable. And the last thing I want to say is she has the biggest heart of anyone I know. She is always going out of her way to say something kind to a student or a staff member. And she just adds that really depth of caring that is really special to have in a school. So thanks, Sharon.
Corinne, did you want to say something?
Yes, I just wanted to echo, especially the last thing that Melissa said there about Sharon being so dedicated to each one of her students as individuals and just really loving and appreciating what that student, brings to the classroom, what their particular class, talents might be, their participation, and you could, she's a teacher who always gives the extra individual comments, on the report card. Like she's out there, for each one of her students. And I really, really appreciated that from her for my kids having gone through this school for all of their years. So yes, she will be missed, and I want to express my appreciation for her.
Thank you. I have gone to a few of the performances because of my friends' children who were in them, and they were really incredible. Quite long, but well done. So, thank you, Sharon. I guess we have to vote to accept that retirement. Is there a motion for that? Corinne, would you like to make that motion?
Sure, I'll move to accept with regret Sharon Kruplicki's retirement.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ryan. All in favor, please say aye or put up your Zoom hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you very much. It's time for our committee updates, and does Finance Committee have an update for us tonight?
No, we did not meet. We discussed the Union Arena, but that's already come up tonight.
Thank you. Policy.
Yep, so we have three policies that are basically the same as we did last time. They just sort of moved up the queue. So for the first one we want to talk about is B5 employment unlawful harassment. And as you remember, this is just more explicit language, and so I would like to have someone put forward a motion to put this up for adoption next time, so in March. So move it forward. This is the second reading.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of moving the second reading of B5 employee unlawful harassment policy to be approved at the next meeting, please say aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, Gina, you are you for it, Gina? Because your hand came up late. I'm gonna go with yes.
Okay, the second two I'd like to, if possible, do together because we've done these for a number of times. A20 is basically just defining what we do as board meetings, sort of like how we do them. And the other one, A22, is a notice of non-discrimination, and we just now include a phrase. The only difference is about immigration status. So I would like to have both of them considered together for adoption at this point.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Any questions on these?
Sorry, can I, who did the second there?
That was Sam.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the two A20 and A22 policies, please say aye or zoom hand.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I just wasn't familiar with it. That was my last one.
Okay, so that's Ryan and Josh abstaining. Thank you. Buildings and grounds, do you have a committee update? We did not meet. Okay. Very good. Negotiations, hiring and retention committee update? No, we're not we're inactive until next year. Working groups, rebuild, please.
And I think, so the copy that I version of doesn't have the new information, so is it okay if I pull that up in the agenda? Because I think the new links, do you want
Sure,
those
I'm
up?
talk about something else first. And then
Okay, okay, so while I find those.
Yeah. I guess first, I just want to make a comment on the legislators and their report on what's happening in Montpelier, especially in regards to the two contingencies on the ballot. Essentially there were comments on redistricting. Basically, there's freestyle map making and discussion around some potential savings and coordination with workforce development, but no clear direction. There's decoupling. Our legislation has been introduced and it's advancing, and the school construction funding, it was interesting to hear the governor had proposed a funding source potentially, though we've also heard from other senior legislators in the legislature that there are two funding sources identified, which is a state tax. No, sorry, the state tax is what the governor proposed. A wealth tax and a second homeowners tax are also being talked about as potential funding sources, and that's a direct report from some
Senators, two senators.
So for me, there's no real surprises. We're about where I thought we would be. And I think it reaffirms to me that the board was smart to put this contingent vote up, because one, there's nothing else we can do that's better due to the decoupling law. We can't our hands are tied right now. We're gonna pay double on just the bonds to repair the building right now. We certainly can't do a rebuild, so. By putting, we're putting the pressure on getting that done, and two, our plan aligns with Act 73. And the guidance that the legislature and the Agency of Education has provided, which says it wants regional schools and it plans to fund 20 to 40% of school construction. So, like, we're saying, hey, we're really leaning in to redistricting by saying, hey, we're doing a 75-25 funding model. And we're actually sweetening the pot by adding some private funding. So I was, I don't feel, and if it works, we can deliver on voters' number one concern, which was addressing affordability, which was rebuilding and addressing affordability. This is the only way that we can effectively do that. And so, and maybe we get decoupling this year, but it takes the state a year or two to fund the construction fund. But we would still, as Jen has talked about, we still, once they do the rulemaking, we still have the ability to paper the deal, push on private funding, and issue the bond and manage the financing to get going. So, I mean, I still think, despite what's happening in Montpelier, this was a smart thing to push out, because the downside, the downside is that it doesn't work and we have to do a more expensive model. And a yes vote really just means we have the chance to work to rebuild the school for $15 million of the bond share, less than the 2024 plan, by working in partnership with the state. And a no vote means we wouldn't be eligible for state aid, and we'd have to look at more expensive alternatives. So I don't know. Does anybody have any other? That was my takeaway from the meeting. I wasn't. It sounded about where we expected to be. The things that are on the agenda tonight are, we drafted a letter to the community. That is in everybody's packets, and this was an opportunity to send a letter from the board about the bond vote. This would go to all the registered voters in the district across the 7 towns, and it would explain why we came to this decision, why we believe it's a factual thing. It's an informational letter. This is not a persuasive letter. This is a factual letter to make sure that residents have the opportunity to understand the complexities of what we're managing here and how we're trying to address this and address affordability. It talks about why the rebuild is needed. It details the ballot question and the 2 cost containment contingencies that we've added, which is that we secure 25%. It talks about what the total project cost would be, what the state, federal, and private grants calculation would be, what the local bond share would be, how that's different from the 2024 plan. It talks about the cuts we made in $1 million to reduce exterior windows and change the facade and make the flat roofs and use the existing furniture. It talks about the state requirements around square footage. So it's really like a factual piece on a complex issue. I think it would have this, if I was a voter, to understand the details, and I hope that everybody will support signing it so that we could put this kind of information out. I'm continually impressed with him. Yeah. I appreciate it. It's all that helpful.
Does it say that? Sarit, go ahead, and then Corinne.
So the voters would be voting to pay $84 million?
No, the voters would be funding 111 million. We would have to, they would have to authorize that. But the way that the funds, the 25% is structured is it's a reimbursement. So we have to guarantee that in order to be eligible for state aid. We can't do our portion of the bond, because that's only 75% of the cost of the project. So if the plan is to have 100% of the cost is 111 million, with the local share only being 75% of the cost. And so if you look on page 2, You know, that's illustrated in the budget there.
Right. So it's like a mailing rebate? Run it, and then we get your portion back afterwards,
So
Like a giant coupon.
right?
one thing I want to make sure we have written in here is no agreement will be signed until state funding is available.
Yep.
Sorry, but we're after that, I'm just catching up to the conversation, the comment earlier that was made about signing it as soon as, we're eligible, the window opens in 26. There's no funding. We're not gonna sign anything until there's funding available.
Yeah, it's referenced on the bottom of page 1 and the top of page 2 and in the article, which is linked at the top. So it says article, if you look at this section here, Article 4 authorizes us to borrow this only if two cost containment criteria are met before the debt is issued. The district, secures approximately $28 million and the state legislature eliminates the double penalty. If you go down to the next page, Sherry, you can see that how these are conditions written into the ballot questions to protect taxpayers and contain costs. The rebuild will not happen unless both conditions are met.
Right.
Right. So, and I think that's very clear. If you also, I can share my screen, but if you also just click on the ballot question, I think it's very clear in the ballot question too, and the lawyers made it painstakingly clear. So it looks like,
Owner's trash.
it looks like she moved the warning.
Okay, it's not there anymore.
I can put a new link in.
So are we mailing hard copies of this letter? Or
Yes.
am I emailing? Okay, because so there won't be actual links in the.
Well, I think two things. We would mail this. This is talking about a paper mail, but we would also send out a digital copy on the
Listservs and the front point.
on the
forms
electronic
and
forms.
those things.
Yeah. So you can see, and then, question 4. It's provided that I think it's clear everywhere that we can't do this, Josh, unless we have 25%.
No, I'm just commenting on the comment earlier was, well, because you were asking them about, having funds, having the program open in 26. We can't start construction until the state has a funding formula and money in that account.
And grants us.
Access to.
Right. And so what I was referring to,
Months of that money.
correct. And what I was referring to in that is just a cash flow issue. They may issue us a grant award, like we get all kinds of grant awards right now. But we don't, when we get the grant award, it's a contract, and then the money comes and it's paid over time. And so that's all I was referring to.
Yeah.
Is once we have a grant award from the state.
Well, we still have to make sure that there's money for the grant. You could be awarded a grant and then you never have funding for the grant.
Of course, I don't think, I wouldn't think the state would award it. Yeah, you're right. Oh, absolutely. The great one.
If you would be surprised, you are dealing with
The state.
the state. So that's what I'm saying, like, until there is an actual funding source that is found, then we know that they have found the funding source. We're not gonna sign pen and paper, because then we're still on the hook for the 128 million or 111 million. And they may never ever have that funding.
If the state, look,
Even though they say, hey, we're gonna grant you this, doesn't mean we have it. And there's money in that account.
there's like, we'll see. Don't worry. If the state enters into us it gives us a grant agreement that's legally binding, I think that's what the ballot question requires.
What he said. Oh, sorry, I think Corinne wanted to say something. I'll go with you, Logan, first, and Corinne.
No, I'm good. It was answered.
So 2 really quick things. The first was I know it was mentioned that we would send this out through like the listserv. But as I know, just from being a student, many students don't read it. As a lot of the way parents get their information is through students. Is it possible to send this information out through another platform such as? Most students don't read the Parent Square, but even that would be a great way to send it out, or even if the district or school has, say, I know this is gonna sound odd, but say such as an Instagram account, because if I know Woodstock students, we are chronically on Instagram. And so I guess more students would probably see it. It's prompting more parents to see it and be more.
We would post this on the website and it would be able to be passed on social media.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's a good suggestion. The district has a, Instagram page. It's not, there aren't very many followers. I used to run it. I would post things on it, didn't get many views. Honestly, the most views and the most traction would be when I posted things on Facebook. Which is something for Gina and other communications, because as you two probably know, all the old people are on Facebook now. So, that's only, the kids are on for what, Facebook Marketplace, I believe. But yes, so there is an Instagram for the district. There aren't a lot of followers.
But we would post this on the website. We would distribute it through Parent Square, listserv, through the mail, and it would be able to be passed around electronically and through whatever platform.
Can you put it in your school paper? The Parent Square.
And it would be great if you posted on your account. Yeah, I know all the students follow you as their student representative.
Yeah.
The second thing would be if the whole school went through, bond got passed, perfect world, how much more would it cost, like school choice students? Cause I know, there's not a ton of them, but I know it's already expensive for some of these districts to send their students school choice. Like,
it wouldn't change based on that. We've set a policy that we determine the tuition cost based on cost of living increase. So it wouldn't change based
I would
on,
disagree with that.
you would disagree.
Yeah.
What would you say, James?
If our debt goes up $8 million in year 3, then I would factor that into the tuition cost.
Okay. Thanks, Jim.
But yes, and that would change. We'd have to override the agreement that we have that we go up by consumer price index. In that one unique situation.
But in the other direction, the more tuition students we get, the lower that cost would be for everybody. And so the hope is that we would get more tuition students when we have Brands make a new school for them to go to.
And they should start right off the bat. So going back to others, get in your freshman year.
we've been trying.
Yeah, you're working it hard. So there would need to be, I think, a motion on that letter because it needs to be full board, because the letter has everyone's name on it at this point in time.
Well, it would put the board members that are on there.
Right.
We have everybody's, I think the question, any more discussion on this letter, I think. We've been doing a lot of these community education forums. And I tried to put in there all the things that I think come up. You know, like what the heck is this? How does it work? How does it fit in redistricting? Go ahead, Sam.
Oh, no, it looks really good. I was gonna say, you know, we've been putting out these kind of things for a while. One of the things, I would, maybe add a section on. I don't know, this is very informational and I think that's great. And one of the comments I think we've heard over and over again over the years is if they had just taken care of the school to begin with, they wouldn't be in this situation. And then we shouldn't have to pay because they didn't take care of the school, which is not true. The school was taken care of. We have the facts to show that. And I think that should be included in some of the information because that's what literally has been said ad nauseum. They didn't take care of the school, they neglected it. The school would be fine if they just took care of it. We shouldn't have to pay as taxpayers because I just over and over again ad nauseum. So I would say if you can back up some of the ways in which, the school has been taken care of,
You know, it's just old. These are the facts.
We're looking at some press releases coming down the pike, and one of them will be a feature of what the issues are in the building, because we've heard, you know, we've been to multiple events,
Yeah.
Seth and I. And we hear this, that, you know, we had no idea that it was this bad off. It wasn't so much that, the complaining, those people don't go
I
there.
mean, it's, when I joined on the board 9 years ago, 9 years ago. We were doing tours. Showing people all the plumbers 9 years ago. I mean, this is like, we should, I feel like we've been screaming at the air, and then every time we put the bond in. People are like shocked at the information. I mean, when I first started, it was gonna be an $80 million building. And now it's this, which unfortunately is the case, because it couldn't happen 9 years ago.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would just say, you know.
I think the plan is to get those kinds of realities out and stack them up, because there's multiple failures
Yeah.
that or are imminent. And I know that when I was talking with Joe, I asked him point blank, how long do you think it can last? He said, probably 5 years, maximum 7, before we just can't keep repairing.
Yeah.
And
It would have
so
been cool if you said 6, 7.
those, that's banned in the kindergarten.
Anyway,
Gina-
no, that would just be a suggestion maybe, but I hear it sounds like it's being put out.
Well, I mean, I think we all need to say, to counter those things.
Yeah.
You're not afraid to say that.
I think that.
Gina's got her hand up.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Gina. But just to address Sam's question, so. Yeah, we've heard that a lot. Carrie usually has a good answer about that and talks about, and then we talk about like. How the lack of ownership pre
Yeah.
Act 46. And it was like kind of this redheaded stepchild that nobody took care of, and then by the time we got control of it, it was like. Have you heard that expression? No.
Easy.
You're not.
Lila, he's old.
I'm ready.
Listen, thanks for making me feel about it.
Anyway, but then it's like when we started the capital fund, and then we didn't even have a chance to fill it up over years, because we had to start, the leaks had already started. And so it was like we not enough time to catch up. But yeah, I've heard that, but I think the Act 46 issue is pretty complex, and that is my understanding about why.
For
Yeah.
elementary board, budget's passed every year, and the high school was always the one precarious, because we're gonna invest in our community little schools, and who cares about that high school? It's in Woodstock anyways. I mean, that was.
I mean,
Yeah,
the bottom
that-
line is that the
that's
community
something.
didn't fund it.
Mhm.
And it's not necessarily, you know,
So it was Band-Aid repair. It was
Yeah.
not
which
the,
was how everything was done. Well, I mean, when I was a town manager, it was like that, by the way, that's how Woodstock has been done.
Right.
We
Yeah.
really do it, there's an affordable option, but it's not.
Yeah, and like it doesn't really work for the big infrastructure.
So
Gina.
anyways, you know.
Gina?
But
Yeah,
Sam, that question is specifically addressed on the FAQ and the
Right.
website, and so I think we have that contained in the information, if it's not front and
In this
center in this
letter.
letter, in this
Right.
3-page letter, which got pretty long.
Yeah, pretty easy, fast stuff. Thank you, Gina.
I just wanted everybody to know that we're in motion on a project that will address this whole tendency by the opposing public to argue that the building hasn't been maintained. Joe Rigoli is doing us the kind favor, as busy as he is, to be meeting with me on Wednesday to go over options for a feature of some sort to present the information on the building and the fact that maintenance is not the issue. And where we go there, you know, will depend on the feature development itself, but I want you to know that we're not doing nothing about this, because we realize that it's a repetitive criticism that doesn't have merit. So we're going to take it on. I just wanted you to know that.
Awesome. Thanks, Gina. You got it.
Other questions on the letter? Do we take a vote?
Yeah,
We're
we need to vote, because if we're gonna send it out, we have names on there, everyone's name.
Is it appropriate for my name to be on it still, considering I'm not good at
Yeah.
that?
Yes, it's just,
You are on the board until March, aren't you?
yes,
So.
Oh, yeah. Gosh.
till town meeting
Done
day,
tonight.
Sam.
At midnight. At midnight.
Is there a motion to approve the letter?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, John. Ryan, thanks for the motion. All in favor of sending this letter out to the public, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Josh?
Hmm.
And any abstaining? All right, well, the motion has been passed. And I guess we will take Josh's name off the letter.
Just took it off.
All right. And
Number, can I share a screen? Share?
Yes, and I have to look at this. Give me a second.
So a couple of things in your packet. And in your packet is an explainer that is drafted up, that it's available if anybody needs it. It's easy to email. But this also has pictures of the new rendering. So you can see this is the updated building with flat roof, split off facade, reduced number of windows.
I think that would be really helpful.
And reuse furniture. This is so it's a more modest building. We have additional pictures. We also now, this is not in your packet, have a website up with all of this information in it. You can see the warning. You can see the upcoming school sessions, and actually these need to be updated. Here are those aren't all the updated. Here we have 15 school sessions. They started last weekend. Was that last weekend? 2 weekends
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Corinne and Barnard and Reading. We did Killington Seniors and Tassville Chapel Mennonite Fellowship last week. This week we have Sustainable Woodstock. There's going to be 2 tours of the high school on the 14th and the 17th. Thank you, Joe Rigoli. A number of the churches are hosting coffee hours, East Barnard School meeting, Plymouth Town Hall meeting, Killington Public Safety Building, Bridgewater Grange, Pomfret Community Event and Artistry, and then our meeting here. So these will be all on the website. You have them, many of them are on the website now. You can see the school bond information sessions, the past sessions. And this has more renderings here, the ones you saw, what happens if the bond doesn't pass, da, 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 da. Anyway, so we have a lot of public information coming out. Yes, sir.
Is there reference to the rendering before, so you can sort of look at what it used to look like and what the difference is, if people are just
No.
that helpful, or whatever.
I don't know, I don't want people to get confused that we're still going for the glass dome.
Okay,
The Taj
so you're
Mahal.
just gonna describe it then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Seth, is this something that could be sent out to the electronic?
Yeah.
Places, because I think that a lot of people do read those, at least old people. So I heard.
We have also a yes, Corinne, do you have your hand up?
Yes. What's the status of the text calculator tool? Any news on that potential?
Yeah, just getting to that.
Okay.
1 second. We have a comprehensive FAQ that will be posted. And there's just doing a final edit for accuracy. But this is very, and thank you to Sam Stockwell, who really drove this on the rebuild group. But you can see all the basic questions in here with links. These will be live on the website shortly. But these are all very detailed and researched and reviewed by Sherry and Jim and Carrie and others for accuracy. This is all very informational. So this will be available shortly. Let's see, your question about the tax calculator. This is really a challenging one because
Yeah.
the tax impact are dependent on your home value, your household income, what town you're in, when the town has last done a reappraisal, if the family can claim or claims a homestead exemption, or has any income sensitivity, and then there's 10 different levels within that based on income and house value. It's
Yeah.
also based on the long-term weighted average daily membership, the LTW in residence and ADU, is that what's it called, the ADM? And then if and how the legislature reforms education funding.
Yep.
So, and
Yeah.
and by the way, and what the state of the world is and what the impact, so like predicting what the tax impact is and providing an accurate picture is proving impossible because there are too many variables. The tax calculator, and Jim and I have been working on this a bit, and so the goal, the suggestion that I had was let's just take the average. What did I say? Let's just take the
Average home
let's just take
cost.
the median household income and the house and the median house value for the 7 towns and then do that. But then within that, well, you found challenges in just calculating that because you have to make assumptions about all of these things that we do not know.
Right.
And that would be inaccurate because they could be low, they could be high, they could be way too, they could just, we don't even know what to guess.
We don't.
Yeah.
Something that makes it more simple is if we assume an income $125,000, because that's above all of the income sensitivity adjustments, which takes 10 factors out of this equation. Which leaves, as we heard from the legislature, 70% of our people
out of the equation.
So that creates a challenge in and of itself.
So
the other thing that we're struggling with is right now, our tax rate has a penalty in it.
Yes.
Will there be a penalty in 27? If our bond gets approved, the building won't get built unless the penalty goes away. So in 28, I can remove the penalty in the calculation, but I don't know what to do with 27 yet, because I don't know if it's going away, when it's going away. And so there's just so many unknown variables. I don't know where to begin.
So
yeah,
but this is like a really hard question for everybody. And so I would like to be able to find a couple of like archetypes, right? And I think it just having a couple of archetypes and getting to that is the goal. That would be accurate, but I hesitate to put out inaccurate information. If we can't verify it.
Yeah, I get that.
I
mean, I think the best case, the best we could do is to put out, yeah, a few archetypes or examples or whatever you call it, that and list, right, just list all of the assumptions that were made and just sort of explain this is the best that we can do, but these are the things that we don't know. I mean, it's either that or don't do it at all, but having some way, I mean, there's folks in our communities who are, because there was a precedent last time around, they had that to look at, you know, uh, they're wanting to see that. They're wanting to see, well, how can I vote on this if I don't know what the impact, is going to be on me? And, I mean, one response is that because you can look at all the other reasons, all the other factors, and make your decision based on those. But having something
I think
for
we-
folks to look at would be helpful, I believe.
The other thing, Corinne, is the board hasn't even discussed how we're gonna structure the debt. So at this point, I've made an assumption we're gonna do the same model that we did with Ben 3 years ago, which is we'll do a 30-year bond with a 27-year principal payment, and we'll just make interest payments the first 3 years. So the full impact of the building won't be until year 4 of the debt payments, which is 5 to 6 years out from March.
And it's something the board hasn't voted on.
It's something the board has not discussed yet in any way, shape, or form.
So
Yeah.
when I remember the tax calculator, it was very handy for us to all use, and Ben was showing it off in the lot. But do we have any idea how much?
I don't
the
think
general
anybody used
public-
it. Yeah.
Any clicks on it, click
think
data on it? I don't know.
Has the tax
question been
What's that? Just me.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes, yes, and we usually explain, like, here are the 15 variables that make that a difficult answer, and like all and I think many people have accepted that, some people, and then but I used to say, oh, we're gonna have it. But then we started building it, and I started looking at it, and Ben was like, hey, do you have 3 weeks to dedicate to work on this, to figure out something? And, it was like, and so we haven't gotten there. And so I think the best thing, I still tend to think the best thing is what Corinne is if we can at least come up with a couple of accurate models, then we have to provide some kind of reference the best we can and qualify it. I just want to make sure that I don't want to go out there hastily with something that's going to be misinformation.
I do have an unlocked version of Ben's spreadsheet that he said I could share for anybody who does have 3 weeks to work on.
It was plus an all-nighter, okay?
I think if you just post it on Facebook, plenty of people will correct you, and save a lot of that.
Absolutely.
Well, the other thing is that some of the communities will have had their assessment done by the time those payments are going, which could change things too.
Yeah, like when we were in Killington the other day, they were talking about how the assessment is gonna change. It completely changed the tax impact there. And
Yeah, Woodstock just did an assessment.
Just doing it now.
yeah, right, our house values are about to all change.
Super fun.
Anyway, so that's still a work in progress, Corinne, to answer your question. A couple of other updates real quick, fundraising without, a really, we've been focused on a lot of other stuff and trying to keep a day job. But we've got 2.5 million pledged so far from private sources, so that is good. We've got all of these information coming up. I think encouraging board members to participate in those would be huge. And encouraging you to help, please get involved and let's plug in. There's lots to do.
We've got phone banking starting tomorrow night, 5 to 7 here. I'm gonna be here the next 5 Tuesdays and
You're
Wednesdays.
making cold calls?
We've got a list and we've got a script and we've got answers and we've got.
Just offering information.
Offering information. If they don't want, no fights, no nothing. And we're going for the maybes.
No, I think it's just to offer information.
Yeah,
Make people
that's a great
aware.
idea.
And some of
That's
the,
ours, that's, we haven't
some of
done that yet.
some of the
Yeah,
towns
that's
are
great.
already they're doing it on their own, like Reading is going to do some phone banking, I believe.
Yeah,
and-
they're coming tomorrow night to train the trainer.
Oh, great.
Tomorrow's our inaugural one. I'll let everybody know how it goes and then everybody can sign up for the next couple of weeks.
Get a stress ball, put it and like have it while you're on the phone.
The last thing is early voting. Voting ballots should be available for pickup at the clerk's office the week of the 16th. Depending on your clerk, they even mail it to you if you call early enough. But early ballots are available as early as the 16th. That's it.
It's time to work, Seth. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Are there any other working groups who have an update to share?
No.
All right, then we'll need to approve the January 5th and the January 8th minutes. I'd like to have them done together, so if somebody would like to make that motion, please do.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Josh, and second was Ryan, thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes of the previous meetings, please say aye or your Zoom hand.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? All right, thank you. We now have an opportunity for public comment for anyone that would like to bring up a topic, share anything with us. So if you would like to speak, I don't think anyone in the room will be doing that, but anyone online is welcome to raise their hand and have a moment. Okay, seeing none, we do need to go into an executive session. So I'll ask it's under 1 VSA 313A1B. Regarding a contract matter.
Of course not.
That's two matters, so.
Are you done?
And Ray should stay. It's an SU matter. Yes.
So I'm the.
Thank you, Lila. Thank you, Logan.
Thank you so much.
No.
Thanks,
Not a
Logan.
meeting with partner. That's it. What if it's it's dividing contract.
Night, Lila.
Okay.
We
Yeah,
can-
I can't go to, there, some are overlapping. Okay. No, I just want.
I'll make a motion to go into executive session.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Ryan. I don't know. It's not in this. Heather E. You're not a board member, correct?
So I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
So we need a motion.
Motion and second it. So all those in favor of going into executive session, please say aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Yeah. Is she coming back in?
Welcome.
Anyone opposed? All right, we are now out of, oh, you gonna put the recording?
I
on?
did.
Okay. We took some action in agreeing with Jim Fenn's succession plan as he winds his way out of being our business manager. Details to be clarified down the road. All right, we have a moment of reflection, self-evaluation. Anybody have something to share?
It's 8:45, so kudos.
Oh, yeah, true, that's good.
Thanks for
Yes.
the cupcakes.
Yes, thanks to Ray for being participant with the Union Arena and all the things you do. Anna?
Very nice. Thank you all.
Yeah, great gratitude to everybody for showing up, and for those of you who are doing the heavy lifts, you are seen and appreciated.
Thank you. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, who said second? Ryan, very good. All in favor of adjournment?
Hi.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? All right, thank you, everybody.